Welcome to the Calm Your Nervous System podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Adams, somatic ADHD business coach, and this is a space for you if you're a sensitive, neurodivergent, heart-led business owner who wants success without burning yourself out. Here we blend nervous system regulation with trauma-informed business strategy so you can increase your impact in a way that actually feels safe, sustainable, and aligned. You'll hear practical tools, honest behind-the-scenes conversations, mindset shifts, and a good sprinkle of spiritual woo, all designed to help you put your body first, trust yourself again, and create more ease, energy, and abundance in your life and business. I'm so glad you're here. Let's go calm your nervous system. So welcome back to the Calm Your Nervous System podcast. And this episode, I'm really excited to speak to Mercedes. And Mercedes is a life purpose coach and visionary founder of Blisstopia. And we met whilst we were in Australia on a mastermind last year. But she empowers women from all over the world to find their purpose and create wealth doing what they love. Since 2022, she's guided hundreds of women to find their purpose, create nonsensical wealth, strengthen the connection to their soul, and manifest their dream lives through a unique methodology that blends ancient wisdom and cutting-edge mindset work. Mercedes is also the host of Blisstopia podcast, a top 1% self-development show with listeners in 82 countries. So welcome, Mercedes. It's great to have you on the podcast, and I'm really excited to talk to you. And first of all, in your bio there, the word that popped out to me is nonsensical wealth. Tell me more about this, and why has this wealth and spirituality become so taboo? Tell me more. What does nonsensical wealth mean to you?
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm super happy to be here. I'm super happy to be having this conversation with you and with all of your community. And to me, when I say nonsensical wealth, what it means is that sometimes we tend to think about what's realistic, right? And we tend to, and this word, what is realistic? And we think that things are going to be linear and we think they're going to be steady and growing. But there's another possibility where things can just happen because you're tapping into the right frequency, because you're calming down your nervous system, because that's what we're talking about. Nonsensical abundance maybe it doesn't make logical sense, but you're tapping into a certain frequency. You're becoming a kind of woman that can have this kind of wealth, that has certain beliefs in place, a certain identity in place, certain emotions in place on a daily basis, and it can happen quite quickly. And it's not going to make sense for the external world, but it can make just total sense to you internally, because you have created a transformation inside of yourself that allows you to be that woman and have that kind of wealth.
I love that. I love that explanation. And why is this so important, especially in the work that we do? You know, we're both very much, we've come out of corporate, we're in these purpose-led careers that we absolutely love supporting other people. I often see this taboo, this linear structure that wealth and spirituality cannot exist as the same thing. You pick one or the other. You're greedy if you're wealthy, or you're spiritual and you're broke, essentially. So why is it so important that we actually bring those two things together? What does that mean for us? Why should we be more wealthy?
I love this question because I think many people in the world, and many people who will probably listen to this conversation, might be thinking, okay, I need to choose whether I'm going to be a spiritual person and kind of like a beautiful, nice person, or whether I'm going to be rich and therefore maybe materialistic and superficial. So there's many things happening here, but there's mainly two limiting beliefs. The limiting belief number one is that money is a bad thing, that money is going to make us evil. The limiting belief says money will make you evil, and money it's a bad thing in a sense. That's a limiting belief. So what happens is that in our minds, then we tend to say, okay, if money is evil, if money will make me evil, if rich people are evil, these are all different versions of the same limiting belief. Basically, money makes you evil. Then I need to choose between that, being evil, and being the kind person that I am, the spiritual person that I am, the beautiful person with a big heart that I am. So that's the limiting belief number one, that money is a bad thing and that money will make you a bad person. So in order to reply to that limiting belief, we need to think that money does never turn a person into a bad person. Money is an amplifier of who you already are. And sometimes you're going to hear this metaphor that money is like a knife. With a knife, you can cook a beautiful meal for your family and friends. With a knife, you can also kill. The same thing with money. With money, you can do beautiful things. You can help other people. You can have fantastic impact. You can create a business that is literally changing lives. Or you can make something maybe horrible or just superficial, like go and buy something, whatever we want. So money is not the issue. Money doesn't turn you into something. Money amplifies who you already are. And what I love to tell my clients is, and I can see you're a good person, so you're fine. You're fine with more money. We actually need more money in the hands of fantastic, kind women with a big heart. We need more money in those hands and not in the hands of other people that are going to be amplified. But if you're a kind person listening to this, you have nothing to worry about. We need you to have more money. We want you to have more money. The world needs you. So that is one thing. First, the limiting belief that money will turn you into a bad person. Like we said, money is an amplifier. And the other limiting belief is that we need to choose. We need to be, it's like this either or mentality. I can either be spiritual or be successfully financial. That in and of itself, it's also a limiting belief, because the more abundant belief would be, you know what, I get to be spiritual and wealthy AF. I don't know if I'm allowed to curse on this podcast.
Oh yes, please do swear. It's me,
So
of course.
I need to choose between being spiritual or wealthy as fuck, you know? So the more empowering belief would be is, you know what? I'm gonna be fully myself. And that means being really spiritual and being really in love with a luxurious, beautiful lifestyle and just having the life that we want to have.
And I
So
think
that's what's happening. We don't need to choose. We get to have them both. Now the thing is, we have also been used to, how to say, in media, in social media, we see certain portraits. So we will see the spiritual person that has completely let go of all the material things, and maybe they're, traveling in Bali only with a backpack or whatever. So some of those visuals have been kind of like glamorized, but we are not here to suffer. We're here to have our needs met, and then from that place of abundance really support other people. If your needs are not met, how can you support other people? So your needs need to be met, fully met, in abundance, and then from that place you can pour around you, to your community, to your clients, to your family, to your friends, etc.
yeah, and I think that's so important, that I see so many people almost trying to make themselves a martyr by becoming more broke, and it's not going to get any of us anywhere, because you're the one that kind of needs saving then, if you're the one that you have no excess to give. And this is something I've seen in my clients who have had chronic illnesses and have burnt out, that they've given and given and given and given and given, but it's all come from their own energy and their own resources, not their overflow. And at some point that runs out, if things aren't there to top us back up again. So I love what you say around, this wealth is a spiritual practice. And for anyone that is listening to this and might say, oh, I don't actually think money is evil, or I don't think that would make me a bad person, they might not see that limiting belief that clearly. How might that show up if it's in there somewhere deep down? What might that look like?
It might be a little bit more subtle than that. So maybe you're thinking, instead of thinking, okay, money is evil, maybe you're thinking money is superficial. So money doesn't matter. Many people are thinking money doesn't matter. And if money doesn't matter, then you will not be attracting more money, because this is not important for you. It's not important for your subconscious mind. It's not salient enough for your subconscious mind. So you're not going to be in the lookout for opportunities, open to opportunities. if money is superficial. It's kind of like a similar version. It's not important. It's not about the deep stuff that I really care about, like having an impact, changing the world, being a spiritual person, supporting others in their spirituality and their well-being. So it can be a little bit more subtle. So maybe it's not evil directly, but it could be like it's superficial, it's not important. It could also be money is dirty.
Mm.
Sometimes when we're children, our parents will tell us, well, I mean, when we were children, millennials, there were coins
Yeah, money
and there
literally
were
was
bills.
dirty sometimes.
Money. So money literally was dirty. So our parents were telling us, "Oh, wash your hands after you touch that," or don't. If you see a coin on the street, don't pick a coin. That's dirty. So there's this sense of money is dirty when you're a child, but then when you're an adult, that translates to money. It's kind of this dirty thing, and that can be also a very subtle way. And of course, our subconscious mind doesn't want anything that is dirty, doesn't want anything that seems superficial and non important. So we will not go in that direction. We won't allow ourselves to go in that direction because we have these associations with money. So it can be, as you were saying, and that's a very good question, it can be a lot more subtle than that.
And one thing that I know I have been through, and I have seen my clients and, just people that I speak to say quite often, I don't want much. I just want enough that I can, have a nice holiday with my family once a year. I can pay the bills. I just want enough. And I don't know if you've
Mm.
ever been there. What has changed, if so, from being in that place of just enough to actually, no, I'm gonna fucking ask for more and I want more and I'm gonna receive more. And what?
Mm. Yes, yes. So it happened to me twice. So for to give the listeners a little bit of my story, I used to be a marketing director in the wine industry. So I had a very successful career. And then at some point, I decided that I wanted way more impact and I wanted to do something that I considered way more important. So I decided to quit that successful career and set up my own business. So I have had the experience in both. So I've had the experience in the corporate world of having just enough and then going to a six-figure salary and having more than enough. And then I've experienced the same thing in my business of having just enough in the very beginnings of the business and then having again this nonsensical abundance and having more than enough. So I think the different when we say that we want just enough, that's exactly what you're going to get. You're going to get the just enough. You're going to get by. So yes, your needs will be met. Fantastic. You're going to have a roof, you're going to have food. Your basic needs will be met. But for in order for you to be fully fulfilled, we want to have more than enough, because in that more than enough, you will be able to do whatever is important for you. Maybe your friends are extremely important for you and you can give them a fantastic gift for their wedding or for a child that is going to be born soon. Maybe your family is important for you and you can, if you have more than enough, you could retire your parents one day, or you could buy them a car. You could help them pay something that is, maybe putting them in a lot of stress in that season of life, and maybe you can take that stress away from them. So with that more than enough, you will be able to do whatever is important for you, whether that's friends, that's family, whether that's creating your own family, whether that's setting up a business or growing your business where you want it to be. So asking for just enough will give you just enough, but just enough won't give you actual fulfillment. So if we're going to ask things to the universe, right, and we're going to manifest, why are we going to ask for just enough? Ask for what you actually want. Allow yourself to own your desires and to ask for what you actually want. Don't settle for less.
Yeah, I love that. And also, just what keeps coming to me here is it's choice and it's freedom and it's opportunity. And,
Mm.
we only met because we both paid for a five-figure mastermind that we were in last year. We met in person in Australia, which obviously was
Mm.
quite a big expense to get there. And
Mm.
we wouldn't have met unless we had actually, one, invested in ourselves, and two, paid quite a lot of money into that mastermind and to get to Australia. And, this isn't where you need to buy friends, but when you're in those sorts of spaces, you end up being around those people and those energies that
Mm,
you just meet incredible people. And I think all of my friends over the last 5 years I have met in some kind of training or mastermind or some kind of expansion, because they just seem to attract these
mm,
incredible people, and they're out there in the world, and it's just amazing to get into these spaces. But if we were looking for just enough, okay, I can pay the mortgage, I can, just about pay the bills. Oh, I can't afford to go to Australia, I can't afford to
mm,
invest into this program.
mm.
We wouldn't have met.
Or you go, we would have met, or you go for the cheap option. There were a bunch of other programs that were a lot cheaper, and we could have gone for, I'm just going to go for the cheap option. No, we went for the option that we actually wanted, and we went for the trip that we actually wanted. And it was fantastic, and we met fantastic women, and we really grew, and you meet like-minded people. And that's the beauty about things is, I love this question. So you imagine your future self and you always ask this question, what would my future self do? And start acting like her. Sometimes it's going to be easy. Sometimes it's going to be a bit of a stretch because, yeah, that lady has very specific objectives, very specific ambition, very specific taste. But it's going to stretch you a little bit. But if you start acting like her with small things and then maybe bigger things and bigger things, at one point you're going to become her. And I use this question also when I had some crossroads, or I don't know what to choose. Maybe I have two options, or maybe I'm just, a little bit lost with a certain decision. I always ask, or in a difficult position, what would my future self do? What would she do in this exact same situation? And start acting more like her. It's not going to make sense in the beginning, but at some point you become her and it makes total sense because now you are her. You are her. So stretch yourself in the beginning and then you're going to become her.
Yeah, I love that, and that's also one of those magical quantum things that I have definitely been leaning into so much more over the last year or so, and bringing to my clients as well. That almost, it kind of sounds too good to be true sometimes, but like I said to my husband yesterday, I'm like, the room looks foggy. I think I'm like having a bit of a glitch. Like, it was full moon yesterday. I had Reiki in the afternoon, and I just like really just dropped in Reiki. I had this like, okay, I'm kind of conscious. I was still conscious, but I'm like, whoa, what's this 3D world? No, this isn't reality. Like, we can change, we can influence so much. And I'm going to do a podcast episode on this soon about how I actually manifested my illness, because we are always manifesting,
Mm.
whether we're conscious of it or not. And I'd love to hear more about your thoughts on how we can actually use that to our to help us, and yeah, how we get clear on what we actually want, and giving ourselves the permission to get clear on what it is we want. Because I certainly feel like I wasn't being taken seriously when I was saying I was sick, and I needed to prove how sick I was. And then I ended up in a wheelchair. And that was me saying out to the universe, look, take me seriously. Look how sick I am.
Mm.
And I manifested that. But I also manifested myself better because I was
Mm.
continually saying, how would a healthy person act? So, how can we actually utilize the manifestation practice, and what might that look like to get clear on the expansive life we want?
I think the first step in the manifestation process is always clarity. And you would be surprised every time I start working with clients on this topic. You would be surprised of how little we know about what we actually want. So we maybe have like a very broad idea, but if we ask, okay, but how do you see this? Like, okay, what is this project? How many clients do you want? Where would you put it? How does this look like? People don't really know sometimes what they want. And that's also why they need a coach, because sometimes it's you have many options, you don't know which one to choose. So it's important to have someone to guide you in that process. But the first tip is to be clear on what you actually want. Where, for example, if you want more money, okay, but where do you want this money to come from? If you say you want more money, okay, how much are we talking about? Do you want 100K? Do you want a million, 10 million, billion? What are we talking about? Do you want it in your bank account? Do you want it in your savings? Do you want it in your investments? Do you want it in your net worth? It's not the same thing. So how much money do you want? Where would you like it to come from? Ideally, the universe might surprise you, and there might be other avenues
Oh
for that,
yes.
and we're
Stay open
always
to
open to
that. Yeah.
that. We don't want to crush the manifestation and say it needs to come from my business. Maybe you get a tax return, maybe you get a fantastic gift, maybe you inherit something. It might come from different ways. But the most important thing is, okay, what do I want? And why do I want it? Why is this important for me? If you want more money, it's not the money. Who cares about the number? It's about the feeling that it's going to provide, and especially what you're going to be able to do with that money. Maybe you want to invest it, again, to support your parents, support your family, whatever it might be important for you. So the first step is being very, very clear. And then we need to be quite conscious with the things that we want at a conscious level and the things that we want at a subconscious level. So we might be saying that we want more clients, but maybe we are completely burnt out, we have zero energy, and actually, deep down, we just want to rest. So it might be quite different what we want at a conscious level and what we want at a subconscious level. And we want to make sure that those two are aligned so that your subconscious is basically going in the direction of your conscious mind, which is not always the case. And we need to be careful with that.
Mm. Okay, yeah, thank you for that. And yeah, that is definitely something to get clear on, is what's going on subconsciously as well. And I think some of the coaching questions that I know we've both been through, we both teach, is what is actually going on under the surface. And I've definitely been in those periods in my business where, I could have a cash injection from a one-to-one client because they tend to pay in full when they do come to me. But I'm also like, I don't know if I've really got the capacity. I don't really want to be working with one-to-one anymore, or at the moment, because I'm focusing on building this group container instead. And
Mm.
like, I've just opened myself up at probably the beginning of this year subconsciously, and just saying, yeah, I've probably got two spaces for some one-to-ones. One's dropped in, another one's coming this week. So,
Mm.
it's just sometimes it's that, like, yeah, okay, that would be nice.
Yes.
And just getting clear on, what is actually going on underneath the surface, and the clarity as well. Because one thing I have said to my clients, and I don't know if you said this similar, how often when we ask someone, what do you want? They will sometimes say, I don't want to feel stressed. I don't want to be tired all the time. I don't want pain in my body. I don't want this. I don't want that. It's like,
Mm.
okay, what do you want? And sometimes if
Mm.
that's your starting point, great, because then you can go, okay, well, if you don't want to be stressed, how do you want to feel? Because money at the end of the day isn't going to make anyone happier or anyone feel any different. It's, what does that money actually give us? And if that
Mm.
gives us things, opportunities, experiences, how's that going to make us feel?
Mm.
And I think that's where, when we're in this spiritual space, when we are so heart led, we need to get into the feelings. That's so important, that we're not, as you say, if you're a good person, you're going to do good things with money. We're not going to be there to just flash it around on Instagram, or like, you know, I've seen some clips years ago of, you get these really wealthy people like burning money in front of homeless people and things like that. It's like, clearly you're an absolute dickhead if you're going to go and do that. So don't do
Mm.
that. We're not going to be doing that with money. It's
Of
one of
course
those,
not.
what can this open up for us? How's it going to make you feel? So I'd love to hear more about what your business looks like, your life, and how you stay true to your values. Whilst we're on the
Mm.
subject of feelings and wealth, how do you actually live that values led life
Mm.
with the abundance of money?
I love this question. So, in order to talk about that, we need to talk about what's important for me. So, what are my values? My values are peace, health, and freedom. So those are the things, and I would say probably in that order. Um, because if we take peace away from the equation, then what else is left? Basically, anything that you do, it's going to be very hectic. So for me, peace needs to be there. Health needs to be there, because if we don't have health, then it's going to be quite complicated to do everything else. And then freedom. And then in freedom, I feel more of that expansion. So for me, peace and health, it's like the fundamentals of having a nice life, a healthy life, and then freedom. And with that freedom, we can go and do uplifting things and change and create and travel and do whatever. And it gets more exciting. So to me, the way I've created my business, so mind you, before I was in the corporate world, very successful career, but I was being told what to do. So I had, first of all, zero peace, because my nervous system was completely dysregulated nonstop, chronically, because of all the deadlines and projects all at the same time, and everything is important, where in reality none of it was actually truly important. So I had zero peace. I had I had quite a good health, because I've been able to maintain, and that has always been a value of me, a value of mine. So that's never been an issue, let's say. But I didn't have the freedom at all, because someone was buying my time. It was a very fancy slavery, but it was still kind of slavery. Someone was buying my time, telling me where to be, when, what to do, also telling you how you should be dressed, what you should be saying, or what you should not be saying, because some things in the corporate world you're not allowed, like any kind of vulnerability, too many emotions, too much spirituality. All of that was not allowed. You can do it, but you're going to be deemed as weird, in a sense. So I decided to create my own business and really set my own rules. And in those rules that I've set for myself, I decided to create a lifestyle that reflects those values. So peace for me, as I said, it's super important. I start every day, every morning of my life, and now it's been 10 years, meditating every day in the morning. And now that I have my business, I can do that. I can do maybe longer meditations in the morning if I feel like. And then during the day, I get to have a regulated nervous system. So I've set things in a way, I've set the timings of my business in a way, I've set boundaries in a way that protects my peace. And I'm constantly checking in with myself, constantly monitoring my energy. Is my energy high? Is my energy low? How am I feeling? What emotion is there? And now it's like I just don't realize. But the moment something happens and maybe I get anxious, I know immediately, oh, look who's there. So I'm very self-aware, but I've actually laid some times during the day, like I said, meditation in the morning every day, and then this constant self-awareness to really keep my nervous system regulated during the day. If it gets dysregulated for some reason, I have my coping mechanisms. I go take a walk, or I will maybe do some shaking or put some music and dance, or whatever it might be that I feel like it's going to be soothing. But I can protect that peace during the whole day, during the whole week. Then in terms of my health, that has fortunately always been there. I have quite a very healthy body, but I can do things like going on a run when the weather is nice at 3 p.m. I can go and take my run if I feel like, which is something that before I couldn't do. So I had to make sure that I would set my lifestyle in a way that allows for those times that are important for me in doing sports. And then in terms of the freedom, that's the part that has drastically changed, I would say, because now I'm absolutely free. I can do whatever I want with my time. No one is telling me what to do. Everything that is in my agenda are things that I want to see in there. I'm the boss. So I decide whether something is in the agenda or not, whether we're doing an activity or project or not. I can say whatever I want to say. I have my podcast, I have Instagram, I can come on other podcasts, and I can be fully myself and say whatever I want to say. I don't need to be following script. So that's in and of itself, very important for me, being able to really express myself, express my creativity. I'm a very creative person, so being able to have an outlet for all of that creativity, and then being able to do even nicer stuff, maybe like traveling, going to Australia for 2 weeks, without asking for permission to a boss, just going to Australia because you want to go to Australia. Or maybe I will be a mom this year, maybe taking that time to focus on that baby and that chapter of my life because I want to focus on that chapter of my life. So it's having the freedom to do whatever you want to do. I was living in Spain. I met a French man. We fell in love, and now I live in Paris with him and our future baby and our dog. So it's kind of like having that freedom to do exactly what you want to do in the way you see your life, and no one is there to tell you, oh, you should be doing this, you should be that, your body needs to be in this place, your body needs to be in this other place. My body can be wherever I want my body to be, when I want my body to be. So I think to me that's the beauty of setting your own business. I also think that it's not necessarily for everyone having their own business, because it does come with certain challenges. But the beauty of it is that you are the one that's setting the vision, you are the one that is setting the rules, and that's the only way you're going to be able to fully set the rules, is when you are the boss, basically. And then in terms of ways I handle my business, for example, something that is very important for me is um, always having a kind heart, always, whatever we do. So with my clients, with the people in my team that are supporting me, always putting kindness first, making sure that we're doing things with a beautiful intention, that we're doing things to really support the clients, and then working fast, efficiently, and making things very easy. So the less, I mean, we need some processes, they need to be there, but only if they make things smooth. So things need to be smooth, lean, easy for everybody.
Yeah, I love that, and not having all of this extra noise and red tape just because that's the way we've always done things, or
Mm,
that's the process. And for those listening who are neurodivergent and probably running your own business, if you've been in corporate, you probably know what it's like to just not feel like you fit in, and to have all these, I just think there's stupid rules in place, and the amount of
mm,
jobs I've walked out of because someone set a rule and I've said, but why? And they're like, just because. I'm like, but it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do it. They're like, but
mm,
that's your job. So I just, I yeah, I did corporate for too long. It didn't work, and I don't think you fully realize until you get out of it how much freedom is actually available to you. And
mm,
I remember when I was in corporate just thinking, if I have the freedom to be able to get up and go to work when I want and not have to be at my desk by 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning because I'm not a morning person,
mm,
that would feel like such freedom. And like you said, being able to actually set your own time and schedule, and not falling into this trap of, now that you're a business owner, you've just given yourself another job, and
mm,
seeing that your time equals money, that you're only earning when you're literally in work, in the office, doing something.
mm,
And I think last year, I think I spent 12 weeks out of the country or off. I think we did 11 countries last year. There might be a few more than that, actually. And I didn't have to ask anyone's permission. I didn't
mm,
need to look for annual leave. And I know some people are still in that my headspace of, but that's 12 weeks you're not earning. But actually, I think on every single one of those trips, because my energy has lifted, clients have just dropped in. Like,
yes.
I had a new client come in, I think, on my wedding day in March last year. My VA dealt with that. And also talking about a team as well, how important humanity is. So recently in my team, I've got someone new who's just started, and she said, "Oh, I'm not going to be around this morning. I'm going for my monthly lymphatic drainage massage." And I replied, and I was like, "No worries, enjoy. I hope you have a good time." And I think she was a little bit nervous about telling me this, because in other roles, she's been told off for not being on constantly. I'm like,
Mm,
no, these are the people I need in my team, are those
mm,
who are looking after themselves. And if you're working in my space, please be doing it from a place of overflow and good energy, because that transmutes into all of the, everything we're doing. Go and get the massages, go and look after yourself. And another team member, her son broke his knee recently. So obviously she's in mum mode and having to look after her son. And I'm like, go, go. I'm going to voice note you a load of stuff because it's in my brain and I need to get it out. But there's no pressure. Like, come to it whenever you can. And that's the beauty again of running our own business is, sometimes I will work the evenings or the weekend. But then I'm like, well, yesterday I spent the morning networking and the afternoon having a massage on a Tuesday. So yes, when I'm working on a Saturday morning, sometimes I'm not that bothered about it because I'm doing something I actually love.
Yes, absolutely. And when you were saying that in these moments, for example, last year when you were traveling a lot and you had sales during that time, when we were in Australia actually doing the mastermind, the event for the mastermind that we were part of, I had the best month in business in the whole history of the business. I had the best launch and the best month in the business while we were there. And we were there for 2 weeks. Were we working 24/7? No.
Oh no, we were off looking
We
at
went to
crystals
the
on the
beach.
beach.
We were to the crystals. We were by the pool. Sometimes we were discussing business. Sometimes we did work a little bit, but it was very, very relaxed. And I think because during that trip, my frequency was so high, so powerful, like a sun, basically. Clients felt it, and I had a launch in that time, and they came in, and it was a fantastic month and a fantastic launch. But it doesn't need to, money doesn't really, there is a level of work that will be required. It's not like, okay, now I sit, I think, and things are going to drop. You need to put in some work, but you don't need to go to the level where you're sacrificing yourself or working extremely hard. You set the foundations, you set the structure for clients to drop in, for people to come in, and then you put your energy, you put your frequency at such a high frequency vibration that basically the universe has to respond and clients have to come your way because you are calling them in, you're pulling them in with your magnetism and your energy.
Mm. And you shared as well about the nervous system practices that you do throughout the day. And I find it interesting because you say you've never really struggled with your health. You've always been quite a healthy person. So why do you prioritize your health and these nervous system practices so much if you've not had to learn the hard way like I did?
Mm.
Why is that so important, and especially when it comes to business as well?
Mm. I think it's because so my mom is a biochemist, so she's in the world of health, and I think that's kind of like always been a topic at home, how important health is and how fragile also health can be, and on one side how miraculous our bodies are because they are extremely miraculous, and I'm creating a life inside of me right now which is crazy. But if one thing twists, it can all go down, and then you start spiraling and you start having a bunch of things. So I think that has always been in my mind, how miraculous and beautiful health is, and also how quickly it can be taken away from us if we are not really active and proactive. So the way I see health, it's a very proactive way. So I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to be eating long term to have a fantastic health? There's not a magic recipe, a bunch of veggies, a bunch of fruits. You need a lot of protein. We need fat. We don't need gluten. We don't need sugar. We don't need alcohol. And if you do those things in the long run, you're going to be fine. We need to sleep a lot, way more than we're sleeping right now. We need to be sleeping our 8, and for women, it's even 9 or 10 hours. So 8 is basically for men, but we have our periods and those things will shift. So we need to be sleeping, let's say 9 hours. If you do that in the long run, you're going to be fine. We need to be moving and exercising. So choose whatever activity you enjoy. And if you do that in the long run, I'm talking years and years and years and years, you're going to feel fantastic. you can add in there something that is more related to mindfulness, like meditation or yoga, whatever works for you, and have that peace of mind, because that's also part of health. So I think if you do those things in the long run, you eat well, you sleep well, you're moving, and you have mindfulness, you're going to have a healthy body. So I see it in this way. But to me, what really, really motivates me, because health, when we talk about it, even though it's fundamental, it might sound a little bit boring. But to me, I see health as energy. So the healthier I am, the higher my energy will be. And I want to have a lot of energy because I want to do so many things and have a bunch of projects and have a bunch of ideas and have a bunch of dreams. So I need a lot of energy. So I'm going to make sure that my health is supporting that, movement is supporting that, I'm sleeping well, I'm doing everything that I need to be doing in the long run. It's not a 1 week and then it's over. In the long run, now it's been years that I do sports and years that I eat healthy and 10 years that I meditate. And I'm always refining those things and getting better and making sure that I'm eating what I need to be eating. Da, da, da. But all of that, then when you see me, there's a certain vitality, there's a certain energy. And that's because my body is in a great health, not only for me, but also now for baby. So there's vitality and energy for two now, which is fantastic. But I think it's the consequence of doing this for years, nonstop, and making it part of your lifestyle. It's not something that you're doing 1 month just to lose some weight. It's who you are. I am, for example, I define myself, I am a healthy person. So what would a healthy person do? Eat properly, move, sleep well, don't smoke, don't drink. So, and you just behave that way for decades, and then no wonder you're going to be healthy.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that this reframe as well, what's just coming to me is how often people get stuck in the belief that I will be healthy when, or I will make time for my health when I've got the money, I've got the business up and running, I've done the things because I've got too much on my plate right now. I'll think about that later. And how often we say, I will feel happy or I will feel a certain way when I have X, Y, and Z. And we've got that the wrong way round. You clearly don't, because you're putting that first. And it sounds like by prioritizing your health now, your business will flourish, is flourishing, your body will flourish, your long-term health will flourish. And I think we need to hear this more often. If we start acting today as the person who has the money, has everything they want, they are healthy. If you are that person now, you don't need to be chasing the stuff. You don't need to be waiting for anything because you already have it. And you're living proof of that. And I also just want to say how, obviously, we've known each other for nearly a year now, how much I see of you as such a genuine, kind, loving, warm-hearted person who also has the luxury lifestyle. And you have the nicer things, but you haven't sold your soul to get there. And you are living proof. I hope we both are, that we can still be those deep, caring, spiritual people doing good things in the world. And yes, we might like a designer handbag or shoes or sunglasses and the fancy holidays and those sorts of things, because we can have both. We can be both.
Absolutely. And we don't need to dilute who we are. It's what we were saying. We get to amplify. So I've always been the kind, spiritual person who liked a nice lifestyle. I've always been that person. In my 20s, I was already that person. Late 20s, I was already that person. But then, okay, now you give me a bigger impact. You give me now a podcast that I can talk on, or you give me 7,000 followers on Instagram, or you give me more money. Okay, then I'm going to do more of that. I'm going to be kinder with a lot more people. I'm going to be generous with a lot more people. I'm going to be spiritual with a lot more people. And that's so much fun. And I'm going to be doing beautiful, luxurious things like going to the most beautiful hotel in Monaco that I already have in mind for this summer, that I want to go with my partner and my baby. So, of course, but it's that's what I want to really share with people. If you're a kind person, you're going to be kinder. If you're a generous person, you're going to be even more generous. If you love luxury and the good things, there's a bunch of them out there. You're going to have more of them, but it's only going to expand who you already are. And I think if there's one key message on this episode, I think it's that money will amplify who you are. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm sure you're on the good side, and I'm sure you deserve to have a lot more money and do more beautiful things with it.
And I think it's a great thing to leave our listeners on is asking yourself that question. What would you do with more? If you had more resource, more money, more energy, what would you actually do with that? If you get out of
Mm,
this survival mode, on the edge of burnout, and you actually say, I have this resource, what do you do with it? One of the
mm,
things that I do with my overflow in my business is I can support some clients that can't always afford the current rates that I have,
mm,
but I love working with, and
mm,
offering scholarships, things like that, actually being able to give back. And
mm.
I'm going to I might do a talk this summer at a school, and just going in all my pink sparkly craziness, and go into schools and be like, you don't need to just fit into a box. Go and follow your dreams. Go do this.
Oh my
Go
God.
go drive the pink car. You can be you, and
Mm,
the world rewards you for that. It's where you get
mm.
stuck when you're trying to squeeze yourself into a box that you're just not meant for.
I love this. I love this. And I think, yes, the listeners could, go after this conversation and think, okay, if you want a certain level in your business, if you want a certain income, let's get clear. What is it? What's the number? What are we talking about? Like I said, are 10K, 100K, a million, 2 million, 10, a billion? Get clear on your number. And then the most important question is, okay, imagine that you have this number now. What changes in your life? How are you going to feel? Because you're probably not going after the number, you're going after a feeling. In my case, it's peace and freedom. But get clear on you. Maybe for you, it's self expression, it's creativity, it's confidence, it's peace, whatever you are attaching to that. And then imagine that you have that money, that level now. What are you doing with that? What do you want to do with that? Who do you want to be? To me, for example, when I started doing this exercise, it became very clear that I wanted to support my mom and my sister. So that was important for me. And then the beauty of it is to say, okay, then if that's what I want to do in the future, when I'm going to have that level, what can I start doing now? If, for example, in my case, I wanted to support my mom and my sister, then maybe in the beginning I could fully retire my mom and tell her, you know what, don't worry, I've got it all covered for the rest of your life. But maybe I can start paying her some trips. Maybe I can start doing small things for her or for my sister. And you can start doing smaller versions of that thing that is important for you. And so you're training your subconscious mind to say, you know what, this is who I am, this is the direction that I'm heading. And the more money that I'm going to get, the bigger this is going to get, the bigger my impact will be, and the more I'm going to be able to share with other people, pamper myself, whatever is important for you and whatever you consider top priority for you. But
Mm.
I think it would be quite a nice reflection. So, what kind of money do you want? How is that going to make you feel? What are you going to do with that money? And choose one tiny thing you can start doing right now before anything changes that sets you already in that direction.
Mm. And how has your nervous system had to change to actually expand to hold this? Because it's a journey going from that just enough to actually this is what I want, and not then receiving more and then throwing it back out straight away.
Mm,
Because if your
mm,
nervous system isn't at a capacity where it can hold and steward that money, yeah, you might get more of it. The manifestation might come true, and then you also then manifest a huge bill, or
mm.
lifestyle creeps in and it just disappears. So what practices have you put in place to be able to show your nervous system that it's safe to actually hold on to and steward this money?
Mm. So for me, I use, as I said, a lot of meditation, whether that's meditation, whether that's visualizations, whether that's hypnosis, they all feel a little bit similar. They're different, but they feel a little bit similar. So that has been huge for me. And then in moments of doubt, I would say I do that on a daily basis. And then in moments of doubt or anxiety, or I feel something coming up, I love EFT tapping. EFT tapping, even 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it's such a wonderful tool. And you can choose an affirmation that you like, that is related to what you're feeling right now, and move it through your body. Move that affirmation through your body so that you can actually start getting used to those things. So imagine you receive a fantastic payment from a client, and it's a payment with your new pricing, and your new pricing is high. So you get that money, you're like, oh my God, maybe you're, freaking out internally a little bit. Choose an affirmation. For example, I deserve to have this and more. I deserve to have this and more. Whatever it might be that you're needing to hear in that moment. And you can put that in your body through EFT tapping. But I think what really helped me was making a change in my subconscious level, in my identity. So, who am I? And putting words after that I am that are fully supporting my vision and who I want to be and where I want to go. So, in my case, for example, I don't call myself an entrepreneur because my association with entrepreneurship is first a guy in Silicon Valley working so many hours, 70 hours per week, killing themselves, doing pitches and trying to, get money and stuff like that from investors and stuff like that. And it has nothing to do with who I am. So I've decided to call myself or define myself as a successful business owner or as a wealthy woman, depending on what we're choosing on one day or the other. But I think being a business owner, it makes me feel like, okay, I have this beautiful thing, I have this business. I put the successful business owner because you also have small business owner, which we're not doing over here. You also have just business owner, could be, I don't know, maybe a little bit boring for me. So making sure that in your identity, you're defining yourself as the woman that you really want to be, and very carefully choosing the words. If I call myself as an entrepreneur, I'm going to be working, having extra coffee, doing crazy things. Like, I don't want to be that. I want to be successful. I want to be, and I am a successful business owner or a wealthy woman, whatever we're tapping into one day or the other. So choose your words. What are you?
Mm.
Who are you? And then really owning that identity and behaving, like we were saying, start behaving as that identity. What would the successful business owner do? What would the entrepreneur do? Maybe there's different words that will resonate with you, but choose your words after I am extremely carefully, very carefully, and then behave like that.
Mm. And I think from a nervous system perspective as well, the first few times you do this, it can feel a bit weird, but that is just that expansion. That's your nervous system going, "Oh, this is new. I don't know. I'm not familiar with this. Let's go back to the, oh, I just run a small business. No, I'm a successful business owner." And that can
The
feel a
other
bit strange.
the other word you were talking, I'm like, no, the other word that is forbidden
Just.
in just, and the
Yeah.
other word that it's absolutely forbidden in my world is a project. How's your project going? It's not a project, it's a business. So I help my clients when they're like, yeah, my project, my idea. It's not a project, it's a business. So how's your business going? How is this
Yeah.
going? The moment you say project, it feels small, it feels like you're not making money. Now, the question for the listeners is, are you treating your business like a business or like a project?
Mm.
Are you treating your business like a business or like a hobby? And the way you're going to treat it is the way people around you are going to treat it, your friends, your family, your clients. So be very mindful of your words, and because our words cast a spell on our reality. So make sure you're choosing the spell that you actually want to cast. And then that's going to reflect everything around you. People are going to come back to you, giving you the exact vibration and the exact words that you put out into the world. So we need to
Mm.
be very careful with the words, with our identity, with the way we see ourselves, with the way we see our business. If we don't take our business seriously, who is going to take our business seriously? And taking our business seriously means setting up a specific email domain for your business that is not your personal email. It means having business cards. It means having a separate bank account for yourself as a person and for the business. It means really treating it like what it is. It's a business, so we treat it like a business. So this is a little bit more, maybe tough love, but to say, are you treating your business like your business? Are you taking your business seriously? And that's what people will give you back.
And also is this are the systems and the capacity in there as well, because you could be manifesting, I want 1,000 new clients to this passive offer, yet that passive offer relies on you sending an email to every single one of those people because you've not got the systems in place to automate anything. And I know if I had 1,000 people sign up for the majority of my offers, I don't need to do anything. It's there. The systems have been set up, and yes, they can be a bit of a pain in the ass to set up initially, but you will thank past you for doing them.
Yes.
do them once, set the emails up, set the funnels up, spend some time to actually put the systems in place, because they will save you so much time and stress and overwhelm. And also, when people come into your world, they want an immediate login code. They want access to the thing that they've just bought. They want something from you to say, thank you, I see you. If it depends on you constantly checking your emails to go, oh God, someone's just signed up and I'm in the middle of something, let me just send them a quick email. You're just constantly being pulled out of places. And, this is where systems are necessary as
Absolutely
alongside our nervous system. And I think just a couple of final quick questions that I would love to ask. So, the belief that money or wealth only comes from hard work, how have you proven that that isn't true?
This is such a good question. I think, first of all, we hear this in media all the time. We see it on TV, on social media, from our parents. You might receive this belief from your family. If you have a family that is really focused on hard work and you've been in a family that has done a lot of hard work and they've progressed a lot thanks to that hard work, then they will give you the recipe. You just work hard. That's what we do in this family, right? Maybe if you are part of a religion that says that you need to work hard, you need to make efforts. It depends on what sets of beliefs you've been passed on by your own religion or spiritual beliefs. But all of that is going to impact you, and it's going to give you that you have to work hard to make money. In my case, now that I've set up my business, I work way less than before when I was in corporate, and I'm making a lot more money. So it is to say, yes, you can work less, you can work better, you can work on things that you love, and you can be making even more money. And that's basically what I teach my clients. How can we align both? How can we have our purpose and wealth? Because many times this either or mentality, we tend to feel, okay, if I go after my purpose, I'm going to make less money, or I need to work on another job that maybe I don't like so much, but I'm going to have more wealth. And here the invitation is we get to have it all. And I think both of us were living proof that we can work less and make more money. In my case, I work less than in corporate, where I had a 6-figure salary, and now I make more money than that. So that's the beauty of it.
Amen to that. I love that. Well done. Well done for, taking that step as well, because that it can be a big step, but you're never going to go wrong if you're following your purpose and your desire in life. Like, the universe has your back. You're meant to be doing that if that's right for you. And final question. What's one belief about wealth that you wish more women questioned?
The one that is coming up is I'm not I'm not good with money. So I have this program called Wealth Codes where we dive into money mindset for 9 weeks. And I work with women. And basically, one of the beliefs that always comes up is I'm not good with money. And this one really breaks my heart because it comes from patriarchy, it comes from conditioning, it comes from centuries and centuries of men being the ones that were taking care of money in the household, and women were outside of those conversations. They were either not interested or not invited into those conversations. So how can we handle and how can we be good stewards of money if we haven't been able to have the chance to, to be the captains of the ship at some point? So that one really breaks my heart because nowadays women have, jobs, they have businesses, they have income, they can open a bank account. That wasn't the case before. You can get a loan under your name, you can invest in your name, you can do whatever you want today, thanks to all of the fantastic women that fought before us. But that belief is still there. I'm just not
Mm.
good with money. And it breaks my heart because we, as I said, we need more money in the hands of kind hearted women. And we need those kind hearted women to be thinking, I'm a good captain of this ship. I'm a good steward for this money. So, luckily, that's a belief that we can change. And luckily, the more you educate yourself and the more you learn and the more you take courses, the more you watch videos, the more you listen to podcasts that can support you, you can start gaining that confidence in yourself to be a good steward of money. You can get actual knowledge of what to do logistically with your money. And you can start rewiring this belief and gaining confidence that you know exactly what you do and you're going to be a good steward for this money.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And I have definitely heard that. And I've heard that out of my own mouth previously. And I think, again, going back to the knowledge element of this, change the belief and
Mm,
get educated because a lot of the financial systems have been built by the rich white boys club. And
mm,
we're not generally invited into those spaces. We don't need a fucking invite. Go and get into them. Go and figure it out. Ask the silly questions. We have so much access to things on the internet these days. Um, I've traded in crypto and investments and things like that over the years. I didn't know what I was doing. I learned as
mm,
I went along. I educated myself. Yes, I asked my husband as well because he made loads of money on Bitcoin years ago. I've gone into those spaces that I typically haven't been invited into, and I
mm,
have, weaseled my way in. And I'm like, so what's going on? I want to hear
mm.
about this. And
Yes.
also, this is the beauty of when women get into these spaces. I've invested intuitively. It makes no sense, no logical sense. And I've done this for the last 2 years that I've been consciously being like, oh, I've got a nudge, I'm going to go put some money in. I think last year I had a 40 something percent return on my investment.
Wow.
No rational sense. Oh, put some money in now, take some money out now. And I've kind of basically followed the market when it's gone like this and taken it out here before it's gone like that. And that's all just on gut
So
feels,
good. That's so
which
good.
you can't explain to the boys.
Mm,
They might have some
mm,
of that. But if we can actually trust, and I say this now, doesn't make any sense. I trust this. Money's going in or coming out. Just got a
mm.
feeling. And we need to be confident in actually using that intuitive gift. So I think we'll leave you on that one for today. And I hope this has been really informative. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your wisdom and your beautiful energy as well.
Mhm.
And obviously you're off on mat leave soon, but if anyone wants to keep in touch with you or find out a little bit more about what you do, where's the best place to find you?
Yes, so the best place to find me is Instagram. So my handle is Mercedes.Castellani with 2L. And then I also have this program called Wealth Codes that I launch 2 times per year. So you can go into the website. We will probably have that in the show notes. You can go in there, join the waitlist. And then when we open the next round of wealth codes, you can be in there and we can dive into this in 9 weeks.
Amazing. Thank you. And yes, we will put all of this in the show notes. So go and have a little nosy. And best of luck with your maternity leave. I know you have set yourself up to look after yourself and have the most abundant maternity leave you can have. So thank you so much for coming on. And I hope you've all enjoyed this episode as well. Thanks for listening. Thank you so much for being here and listening to this episode. If something landed for you, I'd massively appreciate you leaving a 5-star review or share this episode with someone who would really benefit from it. Your support helps this podcast reach more sensitive neurodivergent business owners who are ready to do things differently and increase your impact, with more regulation, more ease, and less burnout. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next episode.